Along, we continue through the story of Moses. Now, I know as we're going through the book of Acts, very much, we're going through the book of Acts. We're looking at the disciples going out, sharing, telling the good news, letting other people know of what their Lord has done. Why is it we're spending almost a week and a half going back to Moses? Yeah, yes, we know the promise, but why this much? Well, remember who he's talking to. He's talking to the Jewish leaders, and especially the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the Sanhedrin, the high priesthood. These are the stories that they knew. Remember, when Christ was alive, one of them came to Jesus and said, Jesus, are you saying that you're greater than Moses, who gave us the law? Well, technically, God gave the law through Moses, so they misspoke there at the beginning, but you can see where their mentality was going. Are you greater than Moses? And that was a lot of the thought by many of these leaders. They viewed Moses almost deity. They would not have said that Moses is God, no, but practically almost on that level. Moses, he could do no wrong. Did he do wrong? Absolutely. But God worked incredible things through Moses. Sometimes, despite Moses' actions, God came forward. And so, with their incredibly elevated point of Moses, ought to be elevated? Yes, but not as much as they were doing. The answer to that question that was given to Jesus, Stephen is going to say emphatically, is Jesus greater than Moses? Yes, no question. Jesus is God come into this world. With Moses, God worked through Moses to make these things happen, as God works through many things in this life, so that despite our failures, despite our actions, God is at work for us and for our salvation, always, continuously, ongoing. And so, with that having been said, we come to our text, going back to Moses. When he, Moses, was 40 years old, it came into his heart to visit his brothers, the children of Israel. So he had an understanding that he was in the court, all of this, and yet his brothers were the children of Israel. And so he had a knowledge, and he'd kind of been set above all of his brothers throughout his first 40 years. No, 37. He was 3 when he got adopted. But verse 24. And seeing one of them be wronged, he defended the oppressed man and avenged him by striking down the Egyptian. So he saw this, and I'm going to strike you down. And so he attacked an Egyptian. Now, he was really kind of more Egyptian than he was an Israelite, just with how he had grown, how all that had happened. But he was still partly outside because he was not, because it still knew that he was Jewish as he was born. Verse 25, or it was an Israelite. He supposed that his brothers would understand that God was giving them salvation by his hand, but they did not understand. So you can see it's talking about what was in Moses' mind. I'll do this. My brothers will say, God bless you, Moses. Let's follow you. And yet what happened? They did not understand what was going on. Verse 26. And on the following day, he appeared to them as they were quarreling and tried to reconcile them, saying, Men, you are brothers. Why do you wrong each other? But you can see he's coming from completely outside, coming in the mind of the Israelites from the powers that be, and now coming down where they're at and then telling them how to do things right. Verse 27, but the man who was wronged his neighbor thrust him aside and said, Who made you a ruler and a judge over us? Do you want to kill me as you killed the Egyptian yesterday? So you can see where Moses finds himself. Did not really understand where he was coming from. And the last verse for today, 29. At this retort, Moses fled and became an exile in the land of Midian, where he became the father of 2 sons. And so he left, became exiled, ran away from the situation, but probably rightly so, as he knew what was going on. And knowing that he was outside and that he was kind of now put himself in the in-between area with neither side having his back, he runs and becomes a Bedouin, becomes a shepherd, a herder off kind of in the Sinai Peninsula. May we remember that God is always at work. And despite our failings, God's timing in our life will happen. We trust in his timing, in his ways.